Today I want to talk about 5 hidden features that are actually useful on your Sony camera that you may not have heard about or ever used. Welcome back to another video. My name is Mario So, and let's jump into what these features are. The last one is gonna be a feature that you do not want to miss, and it's actually my favorite feature out of all of the ones in this video. All of the features that I'll be talking about, I'll be demoing them with the Sony a7 IV that came out almost 4 years ago. But a lot of these features are on all the newer Sony cameras or on most Sony cameras post 2022. So depending on the Sony camera that you have, some of these features may or not be available to you, but I'm pretty positive that most of these are available on any of the newer cameras that have come out in the last couple of years. And if you do not see any of these features in your Sony camera, it might be worth checking any firmware updates that are available to your camera and to see what other new features have been incorporated into those firmware updates. All right, let's get started with the first one. So this first one is the rating feature, and it's very, very useful if you're shooting a lot of photos. Weddings, you're doing an event, or you're doing a portrait session, and you want to highlight the photos that you know have turned out good right when you're shooting them. You can just go to any of the photos that are the top for you and give them a rating, for example, 5-star, 2-star, 1-star, or etc. So how do you access this? So to access this, go into menu, go all the way down to playback, selection memo, and rating. Here you can go through the different images that you've shot and select the center button, access this, and you're able to give this a rating. Now you have a 5-star rating on this one, maybe like a 2-star rating on this one. And when you do the playback, you'll see this. And when you're able to bring this into your photo editing software like Lightroom, you'll be able to see that rating as well. You can also set this as a shortcut if you go into setup, operation customize, go into photography and select any button that you want to use as that shortcut. And go all the way to this first menu, all the way down to selection and memo. And you can select add rating of 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5 stars to that button. The next feature is the divider frame. So what this feature does is that your camera adds a frame with an arrow. So that is very useful to split up segments of what you're shooting, so that once you bring them all into your computer, you know that this was one set, and then you have a divider, and now you have another set of images. This is very handy if you're doing a lot of stacked photo shooting, if you're doing time lapses, or just for any sort of shoot whatsoever where you want to add sort of a divider to quicken your workflow in post-production. On the Sony a7 IV in particular, divider frame is accessed by creating a shortcut out of it. So you're going to setup, operation customize, and let's select maybe this button, number 5 under photography, and then go into the shooting menu, the first one, and then all the way down into selection and memory, and create divider frame. So now when you're in photography, so now we go here and we tap that button, you have created a divider frame. And when you play back, you'll see this frame has been created. The next one is a feature for video, and it's the shot mark. So you're able to add a shot mark while you're shooting your video or while you're playing back a video. Maybe there's a point in a video that you're filming that you want to address, or that you really liked, or that you want to emphasize for your editor or for yourself when you edit it later. You can do it right away when you're shooting your video, as well as when you're looking at playing it back through your camera. These shot marks you would be able to later view in Sony's Catalyst browse. Unfortunately, as far as I know, in Premiere Pro, these shot marks won't show up. So it is a bit of a bummer that it doesn't show up in Premiere Pro, which is my editor of choice. But let me know in the comments below if you figure out a way for these to show in Premiere Pro or in DaVinci Resolve. I would love to hear about that. So that's the only con to that. To access shot marks, you also have to assign a custom button. So it's going to Menu, Setup, Operation Customize, under Video, Custom Key Dial Settings. We'll set this button, which I already did. So to find this, it's in the first menu here with the camera, all the way to number 8 and at shot mark. So next time you're recording a video, you press that button, you add a shot mark to your video. And if you go and play back that video, you'll be able to see two little lines for the shot marks that we've added right there. You can also add shot marks during the playback of your video by adding a custom setting during playback. This one right here, under Setup, Operation Customize. There are only a few buttons that you can allow here during playback, so I guess the best thing would have been to set the same button for during video mode and also playback mode. But just to illustrate the point, I'm gonna select this button right here to add or delete a shot mark. And this you find under the first menu, Selection and Memo, Add Delete Shot Mark. So it's this button right here. So if I'm playing back this video, I can add extra shot marks by pressing this button now. Add a shot mark, and as you can see, there's different lines that show up in the video. The next feature is related to this shot mark feature. So you're able to create stills from movie frames from the shot marks that you have added. This would be very useful if you want to share reference frames of what you have been shooting very quickly, as opposed to sharing an entire video clip. To create images from your shot marks, you go to Menu, Playback, Edit, Create Still Images, and it says collectively create still images for all frames with shot marks of this movie. Enter, and it'll create all those 5 images. Now when you go into playback, you'll see that right after this movie clip, I get my 5 shot mark images. But because the clip was static, all the images look the same, but you get the idea. You can also automatically create the stills from shot marks. Just go into Menu, Shooting, then Shooting Option. And you can turn this on, Auto Create Still Images from shot marks. And the last feature is my favorite feature out of all the ones in this list, and that is the focus frame display. This has become very useful for me whenever I shoot test photos of different lenses that I review and whenever I shoot macro photography. This helps me to see right away during playback where exactly was my lens focusing on when I'm taking that particular photo. To access focus frame display, you go into Menu and then Playback option, focus frame display, can turn it on. So now we're able to see where our camera focused on that particular image that we took. This was a macro shot, so you see this tiny green square, that's where the camera focused. It does not show up in these photos because this was all manual focus. So you do need to have an autofocus lens. So let me know which ones of these features you've never used before. I would love to hear about them. And if there's another feature that you've used that is buried deep within the Sony menus, let us know in the comments below, because we would all want to hear about that. So that's it for today's video. Here are a couple of more videos you could probably watch next, and I'll see you there.